Thank you, Jayanthan, for giving this opportunity to talk on investing in machine behind the man. Well, first, a big thanks to you, not because I'm an expert in this, but doing this presentation, I learned so many mistakes I'm personally doing in my practice. So I think I have to go home and start implementing what I've learned over the past few days. It's really tempting when we work in a corporate setup or a, a practice which is flourishing as a second or a third doctor. We seeing about 30-40 patients in a day, and then operating maybe about 40-50 cataracts in a month, to immediately start private practice and go to the next level. But then the big question is, anybody starting practice will want to have a theater and a Phaco machine. This is something we feel as basic. So before you buy a machine, first educating ourselves, getting to know the technical know-how about the equipment is very important before going ahead and doing the purchase. So knowing in depth about every equipment, not only Phaco machine, every equipment is important before deciding to buy what we want. Who's more important, man or machine? I personally feel getting trained in that particular department is more important than going for a high end machine. Having a hi-fi car, not knowing how to drive it, is bad. Rather than go for a mediocre equipment with good skills, you'll be able to save a hole in your pocket. Horses for courses. This is something very important. No point in buying a Ferrari and driving it in a village, nor a seven-star hotel with a helipad will run. You have to do a practice pattern analysis, decide on the type of patients expected to come to you, come to a conclusion on the nature of city where you are, whether it's a tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3, decide on the packages that you can do, have a conservative analysis of how many cases you will be able to do in a month, what is the expected growth which can happen over the past 2 to 3 years, and then decide on buying the machine. No point in buying something that is the best. We were just having a discussion sitting down. A doctor has asked him which microscope to buy. Of course, all of us will feel tempted to buy a Zeiss microscope which gives amazing optics. But then will we be able to break even? Will we be able to pay the dues? Will the bundling options, will we be able to satisfy, or all our profits we will make and ensure that the company grows and not us? That is not the way to go forward. So for a startup, what is needed is you need to come to a collective analysis of what will be the total cost of the center. So say for example, if we come to an estimate of say 1 crore is the total cost that we need for building that center, and you need to buy a machine also. You need to set aside a working capital of about 30%. In other words, if your total budget estimated is 1 crore, you should have about 30% of the value. In other words, 30 lakhs as your reserve fund with you available. That is what is called as working capital. So the advantage of that money is, suppose you have a lean period, your practice doesn't kick off the way you want, or some emergency expense happens, you will have some money in your kitty which will ensure you keep running for the first window period of a year or so. Otherwise, you'll end up buying more loans, end up paying more EMI, and crash land. That is not the way forward. So you should have a working capital of approximately 30% of your initial investment that is planned. So your initial investment will include the working capital also. That is how the calculation has to be done. And then how much loan can we take? Normally, what financial advisors, experts and auditors say is, never, or it's not ideal to go for loan beyond 50% of the initial value of any equipment or any organization. Again, say for example 1 crore, you can think of 50 lakhs from your savings, maybe some properties disposed, looking at group funding or maybe an investor. But if you consider an investor or a friend who is willing to pump in money or group funding, we should have an open conversation with the person that it is practically not possible to give positive returns or give a lot of money back within the first 1 or 2 years. It is safe to have a window period of at least 3 years, to be pessimistic 5 years. None of us expected 3 years back we will all be sitting at home, shutting our hospitals and doing nothing. Few years back we had issues with demonetization, GST, lot of issues which pull down our practice. So there is no point in being overly optimistic. and then burning a hole in the pocket and then crash landing. That is with regards to a startup. And then when you have a startup, we have to consider this rule 72, which again I learned just a few days back. When you want to, when you're considering doing an investment, we have to consider optimistic returns of at least 14% from what you have invested. Say 1 crore you're investing, you should get at least 14% returns per year. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. You apply this rule 72 to this 14%, that is 72 divided by 14. Approximately, you will take 5 years to break even. This is for any investment. You have a budget of about 1 crore. The working capital is 30 lakhs. Say total is 1.3 crores. In 5 years, you have to make about 18 lakhs profit every year. If you're not able to do this, it doesn't make sense starting anything. Say if you're going to make 8% returns or 7% returns, just keeping the money in your bank and even the fixed deposit returns that you get will be higher than what you're investing. So it really doesn't make sense starting a practice if you're generating less than 12 to 14% of what you have invested. For a running organization, when you want to consider or when you want to buy an equipment, the cost of ownership is absolutely different from the cost of purchase. Normally, when we want to buy an equipment, the company gives a quotation. Unfortunately, that quotation is nowhere the cost of your ownership. Your ownership will include cost of consumables, spares, maintenance expenses, as well as the life expectancy of the patient. When you're thinking of the machine, when you're thinking of buying a Phaco machine, we all get a quote for one handpiece and the equipment. Again, it doesn't make sense. We need a standby handpiece, the full equipment, what sort of tips and sleeves are used, how many cases those tips and sleeves will last, tubings, whether it is disposable or reusable, and the cost of CMC. This was again my personal example, an equipment which I wanted to buy about 3 to 4 years back, and we were having a discussion as to what to buy. My father is an ophthalmologist, joined him about 13 years back. One MNC company gave me a quote of 22 lakhs. Another Indian company gave me a quote of 18 lakhs. The equipment by the MNC company had amazing aesthetics. The machine looked beautiful. The printout was way better than the Indian company. The difference was hardly 3.5 lakhs. The MNC company told me, we'll make you a key speaker, we'll give you talking chances. All that was told to me, and then it had big brand value. I took this to my father and said, the difference is only 3.5 lakhs. I think we'll be able to make it up. It's not a big difference. I think that company is worth it. Then his advice for me was, you talk to both of them, find out the AMC value, warranty for 5 years, and then you come back to me and let me know what is the difference. If you feel it is justifiable, we'll buy the equipment. The Indian company said it's not mandate to have AMC. If you have a breakdown, we'll be able to come and service it at any point. They were based in my state, or I'm from Tamil Nadu. They were based in my state, and they said we'll be able to service it as quickly as possible. There is no need for AMC. And the spares, few things what I found out, certain key areas where we will get repair issues. The difference was around 9.5 lakhs. Initially, the difference was 3.5. Later on, when all this was added, between these two brands, the difference was a solid 10 lakhs. I decided to buy the Indian company equipment. In 5 years, we broken even and I'm on a profit. In 3 years, we broke even and I'm on a profit. So this has to be considered before buying any equipment, not only Phaco machine, any equipment. And again, when we buy a machine of, say for a value of 20 lakhs, we expect it to work for a bare minimum of 5 years, optimistically for 7 years duration. We look to recover the cost of the equipment in 4 years and feel in the last 2 years we will be able to make money. So in for this, again the math was applied and I felt that 5 lakhs profit per year, or you make around 41 to 42,000 profit, you will be able to break even in 4 years. This was my understanding or my way of calculating how an equipment will give returns. Then this math is totally wrong. What we need to understand is, we buy a machine. That machine will go off in 7 years. The same machine after 7 years is not going to cost the same 20 lakhs. The machine will literally go to scrap. When we want to buy a new machine, the cost of that equipment from 20 will bare minimum move up to 30 lakhs on a very conservative scale. So You're not looking at earning 20 lakh from the machine, but you need to earn 50 lakh profit from the machine. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. When that machine conks, you will not have money to replace the equipment. There is no point in having a fancy equipment and then degrading or buying a suboptimal machine the next time. So if you see here, again the same math is applied. You need to make approximately, you want to break even in 7 years and buy a new machine, you need to make about 60,000 rupees profit in a month and not 40,000. And this money that you've made, normally what I used to do, or most of us do, is this profit that is generated, we usually use it to buy another equipment or for something else in the organization. This money has to be parked in a space where the money is not used, so that we have this money to buy the equipment after this machine conks. Otherwise, we will be in trouble. So when we are upgrading, we need to ensure that the additional cost that is spent gives better performance, more reliability, and it is safe for the patient. It is not advisable to pay just for brand value. It is not advisable to listen to some fancy person in a conference talking of a high-end machine. If it doesn't suit us, it is advisable not to buy the equipment. If we buy things we know we don't need, we may have to sell up things that we need. Thank you so much for your patient hearing.